The hills are alive with the sound of beauty, and the hills were alive with the sound of an allocation draw this morning in Turin, Italy. Yes, today was the day, or if you're watching this on YouTube, it was yesterday, but at the time of filming it, it was today. We had the allocation draw of the semi-finals of the Eurovision Song Contest 2022. Our first draw for a semi-final allocation draw in 2 years. I was very excited. We had 36 countries drawn in each 2 different semi-finals in which half they were going to get drawn in, and we have now got our draw. We now know which countries are going to be competing in which semi-final and which half of their semi-final they're going to be competing, and I'm going to digest and review all of what's happened today. So yes, let's do this. So hi here, Finns here. I'm ready to go. Let's start off with semi-final 1. So, competing in the first semi-final we have, in the first half, we have got Albania, Latvia, Switzerland, Slovenia, Bulgaria, Moldova, Ukraine, Lithuania, and last year's host country, Netherlands. And then in the second half we have Norway, Russia, Portugal, Denmark, Armenia. Welcome back to the competition, Armenia. Austria, Croatia, Iceland, and Greece. And I should also point out, voting from the big 5 in the semi-final are France and host country Italy, which coincidentally were the top 2 last year. All the chances of that happening. Yes. So, where should I stand, here or there? Yes, we have semi-final 1. And you know what? This year I feel like the semi-final draws were quite balanced. I always have to look out to see who are the powerhouses in the semi-final. Who are the countries to look out for? I mean, obviously, you have to look out for the big one, the kings and the queens, Ukraine, the champion of qualifying to the final, the only country now with a 100% track record of qualifying to the final. They're in this semi-final, but you've also got countries that also have got a good track record of qualifying to the final, including Russia, which will be interesting having Ukraine and Russia in the same semi-final. Obviously, you know, they can both qualify, and it's not like Armenia and Azerbaijan together. Russia and Ukraine do exchange points, maybe not so much with the jury, but still with the televote. Other really strong contenders, Norway, have only failed to qualify 3 times, so they have got a good track record as well. You also have to look at some other countries in the semi-final, like Greece, another strong country, only failed twice to make the final, and there's been a lot of hype about the Greek entry this year. Amanda Tejaford, a lot of hype, a lot of buzz about the Greek entry. I'm feeling good things about Greece this year. They may not have Cyprus in their semi-final, but Amanda's originally from, no, she lives and has grow up in Norway, and guess what? Norway is in their semi-final. And Greece has got the second half. So maybe Greece could win the semi-final. Just saying. You know, we haven't heard the song yet, but I've heard a lot of positivity about the Greek entry. So watch this space. Mark my words. So yes, and there's also, let's go through them all. Other big countries that have kind of turned it around the last few years. Switzerland is in the semi-final. You could say you could rule them out years ago, but now they've really upped their game in the recent years. You know, Gijon's Tears and Lukhani, they've really upped their game at qualifying to the final. So, you know, never rule out Switzerland. You've also got other countries like Lithuania that always relies on their diaspora and has turned it around. I think the route you know, and their national selection have really upped their game, Lithuania. I mean, they can still be a borderline qualifier. But what's interesting about Lithuania this year, they don't have the UK voting, which has big Lithuanian diaspora vote, and they don't have Ireland in the same semi-final either this year. They've got Norway, Russia, and Germany, no, not Germany, and Latvia in their same semi-final. So there might be a bit of Lithuanian diaspora in there. You've also got other quite countries that have been quite strong in the recent years, like our last year's host country, Netherlands, used to have a really bad track record of qualifying to the final. But ever since 2013, except from 2015, they've managed to qualify to the final all times, apart from 2015, of course, because that was a hot mess on stage. Good things for S10, not S10, S10. It would have been nice if she got the second half, then she could have performed in number 10 spot. Oh well, maybe she'll get that in the grand final. Anyway, I digress. I mean, you've also got Albania, Bulgaria, Croatia and Slovenia from the Balkans, so they'll exchange points. I mean, I would usually say Bulgaria is usually another one of these powerhouses in the semi-final, but if the song they're going to go to Turin with, let's keep it real, they ain't qualifying. I mean, I've heard rumours their lead singer's been arrested or something. I don't know if those are true or not. But if I would take some advice, I would either give them a good-ass revamp with their song they've got at the moment, or just change the song. Because, you know, they're in the first half, and I think they were kind of praying for a second half draw. I don't think this first half is going to really help. But yeah, I mean, you've also got Iceland in there, which has also turned it around since 2019 with Hatari. Armenia's in there, you know. I hope, you know, they bring their A game to Eurovision. I think after the success of Junior Eurovision winning that, you would hope that Armenia can, you know, come back to Eurovision and come back stronger this year. I've got a funny feeling that they're going to come back stronger. Fingers crossed the Fina Manuka. So yes, honestly, you know, Albania, they're coming strong. That could be a show opener. It could be a show opener. You never know. You never know. Anything else? Latvia's in the semi-final, which I mean, judging those supernova songs aren't that strong this year, so they're kind of praying for Aminata, because Aminata could push them, but, you know, Latvia's track record, I mean, eat your salad. Imagine if that opens the semi-final. Oh my goodness, I don't eat salad, I just eat pussy. I mean, just, no. My reaction to the Supernova songs will be coming up on my channel very shortly. Can't wait to see that. Anything else to talk about? But yeah, there are some really strong contenders, powerhouses of course. Obviously we don't know the full songs, but you look at it, actually, you kind of think, when you're judging it on a countries that usually qualify, you kind of go, well, the ones that, I think, if you had to, like, base it on nothing and have to come up with a top 10 based on recent track records, you would go Albania, Switzerland, Bulgaria in recent years, at the moment it's not that great, Ukraine, of course, Lithuania, Netherlands, Norway, Russia, Iceland and Greece, I would say. I mean, you've also got, but you never know. I mean, I worry a little bit actually for Austria, because actually they've been kind of, I know they're in the second half, but they're kind of, and Denmark, I kind of forget, you know, they're surrounded by a lot of strong contenders, so I don't know. I don't know about them. I think with Austria, they have had a bit of a dip. You know, they had, like, after their win with Conchita, they managed to qualify a few years, but now the last, like, Panda and Vincent Breno hasn't really, didn't get them to the final, basically. So, you know, Austria's, like, back down of struggling getting over that hurdle of qualifying. It's going to be interesting who they're going to be selecting this year. They're in the same semi-final as Switzerland, though, but they won the same semi-final as Switzerland last year, and that didn't help. Yeah. I mean, then you kind of go. Portugal was in the second half as well, but they got Spain, but they do have France. Who knows? I mean, Croatia once again has got a second half draw, and I hope they don't get an early second half draw. Hopefully this year's Croatia will get a later second half draw. But yes, I mean, gosh, this is going to be this is going to be a semi-final to watch out for. I mean, throughout the day, I was kind of thinking more semi-final 2, but now looking at it, semi-final 1 doesn't look too bad, actually. Gosh, I wonder now, who are we going to lose? Who are we going to lose? Who are we going to lose? It's an interesting one, because, it's an open book, because we don't really know much about the songs. We only know Albania, which is going through a middle of a revamp. Bulgaria, we would hope, will be going through a middle of a revamp, or a different song. And we know some artists like Isten from Netherlands, and I think that's it, and Amanda Tejaford from Greece, and I think that's it. And then there's some songs that from national elections we've heard of so far, but yeah, everything's at the moment an open book. You know, you just wonder which ones are going to make it and which ones not. So yeah, that is semi-final. I think that's it. Let's talk about Nordics quickly. Norway, Denmark and Iceland, all in the second half. So they'll exchange points. Armenia and Azerbaijan aren't in the same semi-final, which I'm glad to see. That could help Armenia out. And they do have France voting in the semi-finals. And there's a lot of Armenian diaspora in France. So that'd be great for Armenia, and, you know. Anything else to talk about from this semi-final? I think we've talked about everything. I think so. I should be looking over here, because you probably can't hear me when I turn off focus there. Right. Let's move on to semi-final 2 now. Competing in semi-final 2, we have the following countries. In the first half, we have got Australia, Georgia, Cyprus, Serbia, Finland, Azerbaijan, San Marino, Israel, and Malta. And then in the second half, we have Montenegro. Welcome back to the competition, Montenegro. Romania, the Czech Republic, Poland, Belgium, North Macedonia, Sweden, Estonia, and finally, Ireland. And I should also point out, voting from the Big Five in the semi-final are my country, the United Kingdom, Spain, and Germany, who also ended up being the bottom 3 of last year's contest. What a coincidence. So those are the countries competing in semi-final 2. And now this semi-final, some people have said the weaker of the 2 semi-finals, but I still think this is evenly balanced. I think this is going to be a year. We need to find the songs. We need to hear all the songs to judge, have a full judgment on which semi-final is stronger of the 2. At the moment, I think they're evenly balanced. I actually think the draw was actually really good. What I find interesting in this semi-final, you look at the countries in the first half, the powerhouses. You have Australia, Cyprus, Serbia have had a good track record. Finland has had, with Blind Channel up their game, and UMK is much stronger this year. Azerbaijan, Israel's got a good track record, and Malta has, can deliver the goods. you look at that first half, and then you look at the ones in between, Georgia and San Marino, and you kind of think of the first half, you know, not all those countries are going to make it, you know, it's not like the second half of the semi-final, you know, it's more, in my opinion, I think it's always more harder to qualify if you're competing from the first half than the second half, because, you know, you have to be more, you have to be remembered more, you know, and if you're in the second half, you know, you can sometimes, people would remember you because the voting lines open after all the songs finish, but obviously, you know, I mean, we can still have semi-final winners from the first half, and we can still have semi-final losers from the second half, and we can still have people, countries that come in last place from the second semi-final, not the second semi, but we've had countries that finish in last place from the second half of the semi-final, like last year with Latvia, with Samantha Tina. So anything can still happen. But what's also interesting, I look at the second half of the songs, and apart from Sweden, all the other countries are either have had really struggling times qualifying to the final, or they're quite borderline. You look down that list, Montenegro struggled, North Macedonia struggled, Ireland struggled in recent years, Poland struggled, Romania used to be a 100% track record, now in recent years they have also struggled, and then you've kind of got Czech Republic, that started off struggling, and then now they're a bit borderline. Estonia is borderline, some years they can make it, some years they can't. Belgium, you know, some years you don't like Estonia, some years they can, sometimes they don't. So it is feeling like Sweden, everyone apart from Sweden, it's so wide open. You kind of have the countries that have kind of struggled in recent years. So you know, it feels like the first half is stacked with kind of more powerhouses. Well, in the second half, you kind of have those borderline countries that either get in one year or they fail the next. You know what I mean? Like, they don't consistently qualify every year, apart from Sweden, of course. So it is interesting. I like it when it's like that. Like, if that being the second half and that being the first half, like, you don't want to make it predictable, and it doesn't feel like a predictable semi-final. I think most of the strong ones are in the first half, so it's going to be interesting who we're going to lose, because I think if you're from the first half, I think it's very unlikely to see more than 6 songs. Like, it's very rare that we have 7 songs from the first half to qualify in a semi-final, and only 3 in the second half. And I'm kind of looking down the list, you know, you've got Australia, Cyprus. Australia, you know, they failed last year with Paul Montaigne last year, poor girl, but when you think about it, Australia still have a good track record, despite their first failure last year. Cyprus in recent years have qualified every year since 2015, they've had a good track record. Serbia have only failed 3 times of making the final, and all those attempts, you know, Serbia's worst ever result is to come 11th in a semi-final. They've never finished lower than 11th, so they've also got a good track record when it comes to qualification. As I said before, Finland's also got, you know, up their game. UMK is, you know, much stronger this year. It's more competitive. The chance of sending a really strong act to Eurovision is looking good. So it's looking good for Finland. Azerbaijan, you know, they're a strong powerhouse. They've only failed 1 time. Israel, Malta, again, they've also had, well, Israel's definitely got you know, and got strong chances. So I just feel like, you know, not all of them are going to make it. I've got a funny feeling we're going to lose a really good, strong country. I just wonder who's the powerhouse that's not going to make it this year. Who's not going to make it this year? You know, I do kind of worry for Malta, Georgia, and San Marino from this first half. Malta mainly because of, you know, they do struggle with the televote, and let's keep it real, they ain't sending Destiny Chwanyeri another year in a row. And we have had mixed reaction from the national selection songs at the moment. You know, Malta does not have a big diaspora. However, they do have, you know, some countries that did vote in their semi-final last year, and obviously they won their semi-final last year, but once again, they ain't sending Destiny to Canieri, are they? Jumacas. But they've got the UK, they have Ireland, Australia, Israel, San Marino, Cyprus. I think the Mediterranean countries might help out. I've got a funny feeling they're going to stick together this year. Just got that funny feeling. See, Greece and Cyprus are not in the same semi-final, so I mean, I don't think that's going to hurt Greece, but maybe Cyprus. They're in the first half this year, and they've been quite late selecting their artists and their song, which is really weird, because Cyprus is usually one of the first countries to announce who they'll be representative, so they're still deciding, which is getting me a little bit worried, I've got to say. Any others? Out of who would vote for each show? Oh, let's talk about the other two. San Marino, I'm a little bit worried not having Italy in the semi-final and being in the first half. I mean, who knows who San Marino's going to be sending? They ain't going to send Flo Rida and send it again. They can't rely on Flo Rida this year. Their national selection is looking interesting. I would like to see San Marino, you know, it'd be nice if San Marino gets represented by somebody from Italy or from San Marino. It'd be nice to see, like, considering Italy's hosting this year, I think it'd be a missed opportunity if they send somebody from another country to represent San Marino outside Italy, and so we'll wait and see out of that. And Georgia, I kind of worry because it's a track record, and who knows what Circus Mercus is going to bring. It could really be like a Daddy Ganga Manga and the Roop, does novelty in a good way, or it could be like a generic and be novelty in a bad way. So we'll have to wait and see on that. Out of countries who I think will vote for like each other possibly, Serbia and Montenegro in the same semi-final is going to be interesting. They're going to give points to each other along with North Macedonia. I think that that block of that ex-Yugoslavic bloc could give points to each other. You know, Montenegro, I think, you know, I've got a funny feeling they're going to put Montenegro second on last in the running order. I don't know. I feel like it's going to be a ballad, and we know it's Philander, the song Breathe, and it's probably is going to be a ballad in English, so I've got a funny feeling that the producers probably want Montenegro to stay in Eurovision, so they're going to put them on second to last like they did with Tamara Tedeschi from North Macedonia, and it's going to be a similar result. Mark my words on that, mark my words. But it would be nice to see, obviously to see Montenegro back in the final, because they've had 7 years. But it would be nice to see more ex-Yugoslavic countries in the final, because last year we only had Serbia, because North Macedonia didn't make it. Slovenia didn't make it. Croatia didn't make it. Montenegro didn't even compete. So it'd be nice to see more ex-Yugoslavic countries in the final this year, I've got to say. Any others? Oh, I'm feeling quite positive about Ireland this year, which I didn't really say much about. It wasn't so positive last year, unfortunately. Ireland didn't have a really good draw. I mean, Ireland have really struggled in the last few years qualifying. They've only made it once in the last 7 attempts, and the last couple of years they have finished last in the semi-final. However, this year they have got a good draw. They're in the second half, the second semi-final, and of course they've got the UK. And what's interesting is they're not in the same semi-final as Lithuania, so, you know, the UK televote 12 points are wide open. I think the UK 12-point televotes could either go to Ireland, maybe Australia, or Poland, or Malta. It's going to be probably one of those two, unless there's going to be an act like Daddy Don't Commander that the UK gets viral in the UK. But watch this space. Any other block? Romania I want to talk about, because, you know, they used to be a really strong powerhouse at Eurovision, but their diaspora has really died out, and they don't have much friends in the semi-final. They, of course, don't have Moldova. They don't have Russia. They don't have Italy. They do have Spain. But, yeah, that's it. And I mean, there's some ex-Soviet Union countries, so maybe they'll have some love. It'd be nice to see Romania back in the final, but the national selection is a bit, you know, there's a lot of songs, so you kind of hope they pick a good one. Yeah, anything else? I think also Finland, Sweden and Estonia will exchange points, I would imagine. Czech Republic's in the second half as well, so yeah, Czech Republic and Poland will probably exchange points, maybe with Ireland as well. Czech, I think, good. They've got, I feel really good about Czech, because their second half, they've got Sweden, so I think the Swedish jury will like Wiedomie, and they're based, or from the UK as well, so, and they got the UK in the same semi-final, which is great as well. Yeah. And Belgium and Ireland might exchange points maybe. Yeah. It's an interesting one. This is the second one. Strong first half, then it comes kind of borderline in the second half. So it's like, who's going to make it? It's another one where like, who are we going to lose? But it's also going to be another one to really digest. And yeah, I just want to hear the songs now and like predict where the running order is going to be, and it's so exciting. It's like, so yeah, I think that is it. I think that is it. So, were you happy with the allocation draw for the semi-final of Eurovision 2022? Was you happy with the you know, the draw that your country got? Comment down below, and I will be back for more content very soon. This is only the beginning of Eurovision 2022. I'm so excited. I just want to hear the songs now. We want more national finals. Come on. You know, Spain's next, and then from this semi-final, I think Ireland will be very shortly, early Feb. So, yeah. Be interesting if they send something upbeat. They could close their show, maybe. You know, unless they send a ballad, then who knows. But I am looking forward to it, and I cannot wait to see how this year goes. This is probably going to be a great year for Eurovision 2022, and you know what? It ain't going to be cancelled. And we're not going to have any 2020 artists, unless Athena from Armenia. Anyway, comment down below anything you want to talk about the allocation draw, anything at all. Comment down below, and I will be back for more content very soon. So then, goodbye, people, goodbye. Ah, I nearly forgot. I actually made a prediction of who was going to be in which half of which semi-final. And here's my list before I saw the draw. So this is what I predicted, if you can see clearly on screen. You can read that. I also predicted... Ooh. Oh, I can't see. And then... like, there you go. You see, I care. So like that. I got actually most of them right. Much better than I did the last contest. There you go. Hope you saw that all. And yeah, I got most of them right, which, well, not most of them right, I got most of them wrong, but out of like who would, it's mysteriously I got all pop 2 right. Which is like really genius, am I? Yeah, I'm happy with that. And hope you enjoyed this video. Bye.